Amen. It's good to be in Bible study this evening. We definitely apologize for the delay. We were having some major technical difficulties, but we got it ironed out. So we do apologize for that. But we're starting a new Bible study. Whole new week, whole new series of Bible studies. We're going into God's Providence and Early American Christmas. God's Providence and Early American Christmas. Brother Beezer, would you please stand and pray for the Bible study this evening, sir?
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this Bible study, Lord, in all this. Bless the Bible study. Thank you for your word. Give you all the praise and all.
Amen. Thank you, brother. And we thank you all for coming. Thank you for joining us online as well, so we can be one big Bible study family. This week there was no homework. There was no assignments. You don't even have to do a whole lot of reading necessarily, but let's get into it. America's founders, both Christian and non-Christian, had a providential view of history. They believed in the words of Benjamin Franklin, when he called the Constitutional Convention to prayer in the summer of 1787, that God governs in the affairs of man, and if a sparrow cannot fall to the ground without his notice, is it probable that an empire can rise without his aid? We have been assured, sir, in the sacred writings, that is in Psalms 127:1, except the Lord build the house, they labor in vain that build it. Except the Lord keep the city, the watchman waketh, but in vain. I firmly believe this, and I also believe that without his conquering aid, we shall succeed in this political building no better than the builders of Babel. He was referring to the Tower of Babel. That's Genesis 11, 1 through 9. And this is Benjamin Franklin speaking to the first Constitutional Convention. The founders of America had a providential view of history. In an address also to the United States Congress in 1866, historian George Bancroft reflected this predominant philosophy when he said that God rules in the affairs of men as certain as any truth of physical science, saying that you can go back to it, you can trace it, just as we can trace the natural laws of physical science, we can trace God's hands through the history of mankind. We see God's providence. And American history is filled with instances of God's supernatural intervention in important events. In the colonial era, this included among myriads of examples, but Pocahontas' providential saving John Smith's life. Brother Store's not here, but we represent tonight, brother Native Americans. Pocahontas' providential saving of John Smith's life. God sending Squanto to help the Pilgrims survive in their new home. Being a Native American who had been captured but understood, spoke, and wrote English, so he was able to talk with the settlers as they came. If you're wondering how did the Native Americans talk to the Pilgrims to save their life, it was Squanto. He spoke English. He understood them. They understood him. But that was God's providence. As you get into Squanto's life, it's really interesting. Sad as most life can be on occasions, but it's really interesting to read. But he helped the Pilgrims survive their new home, even William Penn receiving a charter through my God to start a new colony. The miraculous defeat of the French fleet sent to destroy America in 1746, the great outpouring of God's Spirit during the First Great Awakening, we will definitely get to that at some point, the First Great Awakening, and God's preserving Washington's life during the French and Indian War. God's providence continued during the American Revolution, and was acknowledged by all, both believer and non-believer. As we review some of the events of the first years of the Revolutionary War, we'll find that George Washington in 1778, he wrote, "The hand of providence has been so conspicuous in all of this that he must be worse than an infidel that lacks faith and more than wicked, that has not gratitude enough to acknowledge his obligations." He said that you must be wicked to not acknowledge that it was God that provided for this new nation. And then as we get into, as I said, the early Christmas, we don't want to look at Christmas before we became a nation, as in the Christmas they had when we were still under British rule, because those wouldn't necessarily be American Christmases, though they could be said as such, but they were more British colonial Christmases. So we're looking at Christmases after 1776, after we had separated from Britain. And after we separated from Britain in 1776, we find that it was the first early years of the war. But even before that, we should take note that Christmas wasn't always celebrated in America like it is now. Actually, in early New England and in Boston, it was actually illegal to celebrate Christmas. It was against the law until the Civil War. They had not long celebrated Christmas there. Now, we think that, no, America, we always celebrate Christmas, but no, they were against celebrating Christmas because they saw it as trying to commercialize religion. Wow, and if they thought that back then, man, what would they think now? With the way Christmas goes, they got the Christmas sale right after Black Friday. You got this sale off, and stores don't even close Christmas no more. They open at 6 so you can get that last little bit of sale. Or either they stay open late the day before, If they thought Christmas was commercialized then, they'd have a fit now. Boy, they wouldn't know what to do with themselves. But they didn't celebrate Christmas. Christmas in early America, the Pilgrims and the Puritans of New England found no biblical precedents for a public celebration of Christmas. And they recalled the goal of these groups was simply religious worship and to cut away all religious rituals and celebrations not specifically cited in the Bible. Remember, they were breaking away from the Catholic Church. So they wanted to get away from some of the rituals, and if it wasn't in the Bible, they didn't want to celebrate it. So that's why they were opposed to celebrating Christmas in New England. And since the Bible didn't establish any date for the birth of Christ, the holiday was instead established by Roman tradition, thus making it, in their view, one of the pagan holidays that had been put together in order to corrupt the church and that had persecuted them, and which they and other religious leaders wished to reform from. This is after the time of the reformers, after Martin Luther and the 99 Theses. So they were reformers. They were breaking away from Catholic tradition. In fact, Massachusetts passed an anti-Christmas law in 1659 declaring whosoever shall be found observing any such day as Christmas shall pay for each offense 5 shillings as a fine to the country. Could you imagine if you had to pay taxes because you want to celebrate Christmas? If you had to pay a tax because you want to put that wreath up? Well, where the mistletoe? 5 shillings, ma'am, sir. Wait, I just wanted to put up the mistletoe. Yeah, another one for trying to kiss people you ain't married to. They were strict back then. You just couldn't go around wrapping your lips on people. But they didn't have them mono outbreaks some of y'all deal with too, like back then, but that's whatever. Preacher, you don't kiss under the mistletoe? My wife, that's who I kiss right there. My kids on their cheek or forehead. You don't kiss your babies on the mouth? No, you do what you do. But I always thought that was weird. Matter of fact, it was proven to me years ago. I was sitting at my desk in my office talking to a fellow veteran retiree who was doing some claim stuff. It was my job, helping him out, working with some stuff. And this grown son, this joker bigger than me, 6'4", 6'5", big joker came in. Yeah, Dad, I got class such and such. It's got this and another going on. Looked like a linebacker. I was like, man, who he play for? I might need a selfie. I don't even know. But he was down there talking with his dad. His dad was like, all right, son, see you later. Have fun in class. Give me a kiss. What? I thought maybe, I tried to keep my composure. I was typing on my computer. I looked up a little bit. I was like, oh, okay, maybe he mean on the cheek or something. He kissed him on the mouth. I was like, oh, Jesus, I don't even know. Oh, man, what? I had to look around. There wasn't no blue fags. We wasn't in Kentucky. Why is they kissing? I don't even understand what's going on. We're in the middle of Louisiana, Florida Lee. I was going to hit him with some holy water. I ain't know it was good. He kissed that big grown, and the boy, you could tell he didn't want to do it. He was so embarrassed. I felt bad for him, too. What they call it, sympathy something. What they call it? You said the other day when you feel bad for somebody else because they did something. Not empathy. Empathy is good. It's good to have empathy. No. I was listening to the kids again. They was talking about glizzes, but this time they was talking about stuff that made sense. What was it called? It was y'all two. Y'all don't remember? I feel sympathetic pain or something. Sympathetic embarrassment. I don't know. Something like that. Whatever turn it. What is it? Pity? No, it wasn't pity. They put two words together. I said, ooh, that makes sense. Look at them learning. I'm glad they read. I was proud of them, but they done forgot already. Jesus. Secondhand embarrassment, that's what it was. I felt secondhand embarrassment for the kid because he had to be grown and kiss his dad on the mouth. It looked so creepy. I was like, ugh, what weirdo movie have I entered in? I need to wake up from this dream. It's terrible. I don't even know. What did I eat? I'll never eat that again. But it was real life. I couldn't wake up. And then he just went back talking to me like it was regular. I was like, sir, you just kissed a grown man and he your child. Ugh. But he was a sheriff's deputy too, so I kind of was trying to be good on top of that because, you know, I might need him later. My foot wasn't lead, but every now and again it got a little heavy. But needless to say, the boy was so embarrassed. I hope he talked with his dad later about, Dad, we don't need to do this. And forget public, Dad, we don't need to do this. I'm too big. I know you kissed me as a child, but I'm grown. Look at me, I got a mustache. We don't need to kiss. It's weird, Dad. It's weird. And he's a better son, I guess, than I would have been. Because I was like, bye, see you later. And I'd have walked off. I don't care. You don't kiss your dad in public anymore? No, man. Look at you. We grown. He just would have had his feelings hurt. I don't know. I ain't that kid, I guess. Well, maybe. You know what? It could be. Because I only saw my dad a couple times growing up. He brought me a red fire truck. No, fire engine when I was like 5. Maybe 4.5. Then I saw him when I was 13. He introduced me to my other brothers and sisters. I was like, oh, okay, it's more of us, all right. And then I saw him again when I was 18. So maybe it's just me being inconsiderate because I didn't grow up with a father. Maybe that's what it is. No, that ain't what it is. I don't want to kiss no grown men in the mouth. It was weird and creepy. I don't care what you say. You can say it's your upbringing. No, if you still kissing your grown kid in the mouth, please stop, sir. It's scaring everybody. I was so uncomfortable. I had that secondhand embarrassment. It was so terrible. You can kiss your babies, but don't kiss them on the mouth if they're grown. It's weird. Ladies, y'all don't do that, and y'all way more loving than men. We tough. We'll push them out there to go fight in the war, but do y'all kiss y'all babies on the mouth when they're grown? Like, come here, girl. I know you 30. Give me a kiss. And y'all swapping lipstick. Don't that sound creepy? Ugh. Yellow and blue make green, but not this time, Mama. That's nasty. I don't even. So if you was out there thinking about, not nobody here, but you online was thinking that way, God had your number tonight. He told you stop that. Because that ain't on my paper. I wasn't even thinking about that for years, but that was creepy, though. Don't kiss your grown kids on the mouth. It's strange. It's strange. Not Stranger Things to show either, just strange. But although as of late 1870 in Boston public schools, a student missing school on Christmas Day could be punished or even expelled, by the 1880s, however, Christmas celebrations have finally become accepted in New England as they were in other parts of the country. So all the way up to the 1800s, they still didn't celebrate Christmas in New England. They thought it was wrong and bad. So we see that traditions can change. But looking back at this first Christmas, 1776, when George Washington was commander of the military, and recognizing that at this point that they hadn't had many victories, they hadn't had any victories, and the men who had signed up as part of the military, that their enlistments were about to end. He was thinking and deciding, what do we do to get them to re-enlist? Because if they don't re-enlist, the war's over. There's no more fighting because we won't have an army. So he's trying to think of what we could do to have a victory. How do we get a victory over the British? And does anybody know what plan they came up with? Anybody in the history buffs? When I say it, you're going to know, like, oh, that's when they did that. I didn't know either, so I was studying it and looking it up. But it was the crossing of the Delaware River. That was the plan. They were going to attack the Fort Trenton. They were going to attack Trenton, so they had to cross the Delaware. That was Christmas time. I didn't know. All these years I saw the pictures. We looked at them. I think we got a slide with it on there. Washington crossing the Delaware. We thought about it. I saw it. I knew about it. I knew some of the people that were involved, but I didn't know it was Christmas. But it was Christmas time. And why did they pick Christmas time? Well, they were trying to figure out when they could have a victory. That's actually George Washington on that slide. Go back one. Go back. That's them crossing, and we'll get to that part in a minute. But they were crossing over, and I want you to look at their feet. Some of them didn't even have shoes, and they were crossing in the snow. But that's them crossing as they were preparing to cross over. But the next slide, please. That's George Washington crossing the Delaware in the frozen ice. I actually seen that picture many times, didn't realize it was frozen, the water, until I looked at it later like, oh, that is ice. I never crossed my mind. But we'll get into that part as well, but he was trying to figure out, well, how do we get a victory? How do we get these men to want to re-enlist? Christmas is coming, and as it was at the time, the American colonists in New England didn't really celebrate Christmas, but they were thinking, who's the toughest, roughest soldiers that the British Army had? And it was the Hessian soldiers. They were German mercenaries that the British Army had hired to fight in the war, and they were some of the toughest soldiers. So they knew that them being German, they were going to celebrate Christmas. And by celebrating Christmas, you know what I mean. They was going to get drunk, and they was going to party. And that was going to be their Christmas. You know. Don't look at me strange. You know, some of you growing up, you know what Christmas meant to your uncles. And some of your aunties. It's Christmas. Bon cherie. Don't even know French, but they pouring it up. Bon cherie. They finna sipping saints. They ain't though, but they was getting drunk. Yeah, it's Christmas. What Santa Claus bring you, baby? Just obnoxious. You know, you've seen it. We've seen it growing up. It happens in multiple cultures. They do it. They use it as a day to get drunk. Really, they just need an excuse. They don't matter. It's St. Patrick's Day. We got to get drunk. Sir, ma'am, you're not Irish. But I'm celebrating with them. They just need an excuse. They just want to get drunk. Oh, you know, Columbus was bad. We got to pour out some liquor for the Native Americans he killed. Just be honest. You just want to drink. You just need a reason. Oh, we got a barbecue. We celebrating. 12 packs on me. You know, they just, what you celebrating? You got a raise? No, I don't know what we celebrating. I just came because it was drinks. We all know people like that. Maybe some of us have been people like that. Just show up for the liquor, you know. Some of y'all know the names. I don't remember the names. I was on the job site today. They was talking about all kind of stuff. They were talking about dabs and pens. It just sounded like smoking crack to me, but they was trying to explain to me that it was really weed. But I'm like, yeah, if you melt it and put it in the pipe and then you got to heat it, sounds like crack. No, see, it's THC, and you get the wax, and it's the percentage of 90 and 95, and you put in this thing, and if the pen's aluminum, then it's nicotine, but if it's golden, that means it's marijuana. That you smoking out a pipe that you pour water in? Yeah, it's vaping. So they made the crack pipe look professional and tricked you guys, like, oh, no, this is good right here. Then one guy said, yeah, it kind of looks like meth, but it's not. And then he was talking about how the THC can rock up. Like, yeah, you get a little crystals and it rocks up. I was like, they smoking crack. They done lied to them. They put an organic label on it and done tricked them. It's organic. Yeah, it's marijuana. You a crackhead. You was wondering why you always itching. You on crack. You was wondering why you had all that extra strength. Like, man, I put that whole wall up by myself. You a crackhead. You got that crackhead power. You just run around with TVs on your shoulder and refrigerators on your back. Just see that crackhead strength. I don't know what to tell you. You call it vaping you want to, or dabbing, or whatever you want to call it. If you put it in the pipe, sir, ma'am, and it gets you high, that's crack. We was talking to one guy today. He was on the radar. I was like, yeah, he's going to be gone in a minute. Doop, doop. Yep, he's off the radar. He's gone. He was just talking like, yeah, that we could go. And then one guy a few weeks ago, he was talking, bless his heart. He was like, hey, are you guys shooting a nail gun at me? Somebody's shooting nails. I was like, oh, he high. He high, because I saw him earlier. He's like, yeah, man, what's that? They start talking to 95% and the 90 and just do this and blah, blah. You hit the button and it makes it go until it stops. I don't know. They was talking. Then he did it. Said, yeah, I did it too long. And he was like, yeah, they're shooting nails at me. You guys got to stop that. I was like, oh, he high. But if he pointed that gun at me, it's going to be on. But either way, he kept on doing what he was doing. So a few weeks later today, we brought up, like, do you remember you thought somebody was shooting a nail gun at you? Oh, yeah, I do remember. You know, somebody was shooting around in the house. It was bouncing off the walls. I was like, yeah, it was bouncing off the walls, huh? Oh, yeah, I was high. He thought about it as he said it out loud. He was high. Wasn't nobody shooting guns and making them bounce off the walls. This ain't a video. This is real life, sir. But he was high. Then the other guy was high today. Bless his heart. He sure got high. Some of them be high every day. You just see him like, just shoot it to the right, and he'll shoot the wrong thing 4 times in a row. This is my buddy, this is my guy, but he sure did it today. I was like, why he keep missing the line? Like, go to the right. Then he shot it the same way again. I said, oh, he high. He can't. He think he on the line, but he not. Bless his heart. And so we just redid about 10 nails. He just kept missing stuff. Just bless his heart. He high. But normally he's okay, but he was a little high today. I don't know. Maybe the holidays. He had to get a little extra THC, vape, dab. It's crack. It's all crack. You can tell me it ain't. I'll listen to your stories. You can give me the chemical breakdown. Still sound like crack. It rocked up. Crack rock. Okay, all right. Yeah, there you go. No, preacher, this is for my glaucoma. At 20, you got glaucoma at 20? Bad eyes running your family, huh? You need a transplant? That's what I think you need. It's for my nerves. Oh, your nerves? What war you been in? High school. Joker, you ain't even paid a bill yet. What are you talking about your nerves? Until you get 6 bills at the first of the month and 3 more coming in the 15th, you just like, all right, if they could just hold off for this late fee, you ain't even live yet. But that's what they say. That's what they tell me. I just listen to them. I don't get on them. I just listen to them talk, and they educate me, and I come in and tell y'all about it. So hopefully, you leave that crack alone, get your money and go home. I don't know what to tell you. You're going to be mad when them little kids start singing. Your mama on crack rock, and you the mama. You just trying to figure it out. Like, oh, it ain't crack, baby. This is a vape pen. Oh, okay. All right. Can you smoke the same thing with a TV antenna? Oh, yeah, you could do that if you ran out of money. Oh, see, crack pipe right there. That is right there. There's no difference. What's the difference? You put some glass on it. Oh, okay. I know. It's fancy. You could put that, whatever scent he told me. Next time I remember, he said you could put a scent with it, and this 5%, this smell thing to change the flavor. It's got these flavor crystals. I was like, they didn't put seasoning on crack? Do they got like buttery popcorn crack? I don't know. Does any of y'all know? Do they got strawberry flavor? Some of y'all purple drink, they got you right there. They had that grape. You on that grape crack. It's crazy, isn't it? Because I'm not convinced. You can't be doing 65 on the highway with your windows up. You don't see no humans, but you smell marijuana. That's crack. I remember the 70s. Nobody had marijuana that strong. If the window was up and you was driving, you didn't smell it. But you driving today, you just think about it. Many times you're on the highway like, somebody hit a skunk. No, that's crack. They smoking that new weed. They gonna tell you it's marijuana. That's crack. You don't gotta believe me. Then when you been I just think I need to smoke something. That's crack right there. They got you. They tricked you. You thought it was marijuana. No, that ain't what Rick James was singing about. It ain't no Mary Jane. You just crack. It's crack. I'm telling you. You don't gotta believe me. Years from now, when they do the reports, I'm like, yeah, they was cutting the marijuana with crack. You were like, oh, I've been a crackhead for years. I thought I was a smoker. No, you didn't have the munchies. That should have told you didn't want to eat nothing. You was losing weight. It's crack. Because weed heads had the munchies, right? Do they tell them they get the munchies? Is that what happened here? I'm just teasing. Don't answer that. Please don't answer that. I'm messing around. When we do this and say it, just act like you don't know what I'm talking about. Just, nobody move, nobody get hurt. Like, oh, preacher, yeah, that's what they do. Even if you do it, just act like that's what they do. That's what, don't the way nobody knows your business. Because, everybody think I'm talking to them online. Well, nobody know. Sometimes I know who I'm talking to, but I just make it general. Why? Because it's your business. I'm not trying to bust you out. You got to work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. I'm just trying to help you get there. And we all have things we have to get over. Things we got to get past. So my job is to help you get there, not push you down, but help you up. But if you're online, that's for you right there. Leave that crack alone. Leave that crack alone. You online, I ain't no sympathy. I figure I walk over and tell you the camera right there. If y'all was wondering, what is he looking at and pointing at over? It's a camera right there. I'm just helping them out online. Leave that crack alone for the holidays. Get Jesus, leave crack. Is that a song? I don't know. It sounds like it could be. Get Jesus, leave crack. We heard all kind of wild songs these days. Jesus, not mine though. He's my savior. I don't think he's the other thing. That's crazy. But they decided they would cross the Delaware River in order to get this victory because they were thinking that because it's Christmas, the Hessians would be so drunk they would attack them the next morning, early in the morning, because they would either be hung over or still drunk. They knew it would be a great time. And so they planned to take the 5,400 troops that they had over the Delaware River. But what happened is as they were marching, they began to notice that many of the soldiers didn't have shoes. So they were actually literally walking and leaving blood tracks. And then as they were walking, they were trying to get through the snow and the ice. It's actually reported that 2 men actually froze to death as they were walking, which is strange, but it said that 2 died on the way there just because it was so cold. So then it was cold, and then they got to the river, and they decided they would cross the river, and it was General Henry Knox that was supposed to get the logistics. Logistics saves the day. Logistics that were there to get everything lined up in order to cross the river but they could only get one set of boats across. So they were there trying to get everybody across, and it was almost morning. They only got 1,000 troops across. Now, they were going to fight another 1,000 troops, but they wanted to outnumber them with the 5,400, so it would be an easy fight, because they were mostly shopkeepers, teachers, regular citizens going up against professional soldiers, so they wanted to outnumber them to ensure the victory because they needed it. But they didn't get all the soldiers across, but they were able to get about 2,400 once they finally got them across that morning. George Washington said, we must go attack them now, even though we don't have all our soldiers. So he was just under half of the amount they meant to take. So they went there, and sure enough, the Hessian soldiers was drunk. Matter of fact, the blizzard came in that was so strong, they decided nobody's going to attack or do anything in this type of weather, so even the sentries went back inside for protection. They went inside to stay warm and to keep warm because the storm was so bad. Now you got to imagine, your soldiers now don't have shoes. Some are dying on the way. You can't cross the river. And then there's a blizzard. And in the midst of the blizzard of all the snow, there was hail, but then there was also thunder. There was a thunderstorm in the midst of the snowstorm. So no doubt some of them thought, like, God's against us, why are we here? That's the devil. Because of the blizzard was so bad and the storm was so bad, the enemy went in and left everything unprotected. Now, if you were just thinking about it, you were like, oh man, God's against us, what do? We should quit. But God was actually paving the way, making the fight easy. The trial to get there was hard, but the actual battle was easy. So they got there, they surrounded Trenton, they covered all the soldiers. Then when they finally got up to come out to fight, no Americans were killed. And only 3 were wounded. 2 died on the way there, and then 1 other was wounded. Of the 3 were wounded total. We'll get to the 1. But they were there. It was an easy fight. It was less than 45 minutes. And you got to imagine, a 45-minute gunfight doesn't seem bad today, but you got to remember back then they had single shots. So that's 1 shot at a time. Load up, pow. Hold on, give me a minute. You hoping you fasten him, putting your musket back together. But it was a 45-minute fight with thousands of men. And it was over in less than 45 minutes. And then the total numbers ended up being that roughly, 300 Hessian soldiers were killed, and only 3 Americans were wounded. The battle only lasted 45 minutes as they fought. And America couldn't believe it. It was such an easy fight. But God had prepared the way. The providence of God made it an easy victory. And because they finally won the victory after they already lost in New York, they'd already lost in Long Island, they'd already had defeat after defeat after defeat. But then finally, this great victory, they crossed the Delaware and they defeated one of the biggest, the hardest set of soldiers that they could face, the Hessian troops. So we see God's hand moving. But also, as they were walking, they were trying to be quiet because it was 12 miles from the shore to Trenton. They were trying to be quiet because they didn't know if there were loyalists around, those that would tell about what they were doing and where they were going that would give them up. They were trying to be quiet, but one man heard them because the dog was barking. He came out, but then come to find out he was a patriot. He wasn't a loyalist, but he was a surgeon. He said, well, I'm a patriot too. I see you guys are going to Trenton. So I tell you what, I'm a surgeon. I'll go with you in case somebody gets injured. I'll be there to help them. Maybe nothing will happen, but at least I'll be there. And so he went along, and one of those 3 men that were wounded was actually shot, and he was an aide to General George Washington. But because he was shot, they were like, what do we do? How do we save him? The surgeon said, I know how to fix it. He put his finger in the bullet hole, stopped the bleeding. Then he did the surgery to save his life, and that man became our 5th president. James Monroe. Right there, all because they were walking and a man saw him. So, hey, what are y'all doing? Oh, we're going to fight. Now, he could have been a loyalist and turned him into the British, but he was a patriot. But not just a patriot, a surgeon. Out of nowhere, unplanned, everything that could go wrong had gone wrong. They couldn't cross the river like they wanted. They didn't have the amount of men that they wanted. Everything that happened, the men didn't have shoes, 2 died just walking there. And then they're in the middle of a blizzard, and it wasn't just a blizzard, but a lightning storm in a blizzard. Never seen it, not looking for it, but that sounds crazy. I think I'd go in the house. Oh, this ain't for us. God don't want us to be here. But it was God. It's God's providence. So they went on and got the victory. And then we know what happened from there. Because of the great victory at the Delaware River in Trenton, they went on in that bravery and that victory. Many men re-enlisted again, and we won the war, and here we are today. And this all happened at our first Christmas. One of the earliest Christmases of America, actually the first Christmas of the America as a nation, although we weren't, but we declared ourselves that. We still had to fight for it. All this happened right at the beginning. God's providence, an early Christmas, an early American Christmas. We'll get to more, and there's other things we'll cover on different days. Tuesday, Bible study next week. But I wanted to get that out, and we shortened some of it because of time, but we wanted to cover this part for you. Just a little bit of history, something to think about. But it's true, as he said, that God governs in the affairs of man, and if a sparrow cannot fall to the ground without his notice, is it probable that an empire can rise without his aid? It's true. Except God. And God's providence was with America. Sister Joyce, can you please pray and dismiss our Bible study this evening? Don't forget, like, share, subscribe, all that social media stuff. God loves you and cares about you.
That's how my work with mom. That's how my work with mom. But you should this is hair time. Mom, come on, man. I need to get this checked out, bro. I need to get it checked out, like, to some kind of reason, Mom. Yes. You understand what it's like to eat food. So they want to see my energy. I'll be like, see? Sure, set me up for that. No. Yeah.